Most fighters believe that landing a devastating kick requires blinding speed or freakish flexibility. The reality is that the human eye is highly sensitive to sudden changes in motion, meaning even the fastest kicks will get blocked if their launch is telegraphed. If you want your kicks to land entirely unseen, you do not need to move faster. You need to hide their trajectory behind movements your opponent has already accepted. The secret to camouflaging your kicks lies in manipulating your opponent's visual processing and pattern recognition. When you throw a raw kick from the outside, your opponent's brain registers the weight shift, the hip rotation, and the upward trajectory of the leg with plenty of time to react. A common mistake is relying purely on the speed of the leg while ignoring what the rest of your body is doing. If you drop your opposite hand, dip your shoulder, or take a heavy setup step before your foot leaves the ground, you are screaming your intentions. To make a kick invisible, the lower body must fire while the upper body is doing something completely normal or completely distracting. You have to overwhelm their line of sight or exploit their blind spots so that by the time they register the incoming shin, the impact has already happened. To apply this in practice, you must start using your hands to blind the defensive radar. The most reliable way to hide a kick is to throw it immediately behind your punches, using the extension of your gloves to physically block your opponent's field of vision. When you throw a stiff jab or a long cross right at their eyes, their natural reaction is to blink, shell up, or fixate on the incoming glove. That exact fraction of a second is your window. If you are throwing a right roundhouse, mask it behind a straight right hand. As your right hand fully extends and forces their guard up, your hip is already loaded. Instead of pulling the punch back and then kicking, you let the kick chase the punch. The hand retracts as the leg simultaneously fires through the exact same rotational path. They see the glove, but they completely miss the leg coming up underneath it. You also need to tailor your camouflage to how your opponent reacts under pressure. If your opponent is someone who shells up with a high, tight guard every time you punch, you use that upward shift in their focus to chop their legs. You throw a flurry of high punches, and the moment their elbows flare up to protect their head, you seamlessly drop a hard, low kick into their calf or thigh. Conversely, if your opponent likes to parry or reach for your punches, you use a low-line distraction to open the top. You flash a hard front kick or a heavy jab to the body to draw their eyes and hands downward. As soon as their posture breaks forward to address the low threat, you bring a high kick right over their dropped shoulder. If they tend to circle away from your power side, you disguise your kicks with lateral footwork. You take a subtle step outside their lead foot, pretending to establish a new angle for a punch, but you use that step to secretly load your hip. Because you are moving to their outside, the kick originates from their peripheral vision, making it incredibly difficult to track until it makes contact. Another high-level method is camouflaging the kick's final destination by mirroring the initial chamber of a different strike. When you bring your knee straight up the middle, your opponent's brain instantly registers a front kick or a teep. They will instinctively drop their hands to parry or brace their core for a push. If you sell that straight upward trajectory for the first half of the motion, you can quickly pivot your base foot, turn your hip over, and change it into a roundhouse kick at the last possible millisecond. The famous question mark kick relies entirely on this principle. You are hiding the true attack inside the shell of a completely different attack, exploiting their trained defensive reactions against them. To integrate these concepts into your daily training, you must eliminate the distinct pauses between your strikes during shadowboxing. Start by flowing from punches to kicks without ever resetting your stance in between. The kinetic chain must be continuous. The retraction of a punch should literally pull your kicking leg off the floor. When you move to the heavy bag or the pads, force yourself to strike without a setup beat. Record yourself on camera and watch for the micro tells. Are you taking a deep breath right before you kick? Are you shifting your weight back heavily before you launch? Iron out those tells until your neutral stance and your attacking stance look absolutely identical to the observer. Finally, during sparring, actively experiment with creating visual noise. Throw lazy jabs just to leave your hand in your opponent's face for a split second longer than usual, and fire your kicks from behind that barrier. Long-term mastery of kick camouflage doesn't come from stretching your hamstrings further. It comes from mastering timing, controlling your opponent's focus, and attacking the spaces they aren't looking at. Keep your setups tight, hide your hips behind your hands, and your kicks will land with devastating consistency.